I felt that I was different from since I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew it was uh, a identity, like a gender identity issue.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that I was very different. Obviously, I was always more. I always identified more with the female,
Right.
with my sisters, with my mother, with my grandmother, like with everybody that was female in my family, and so.
Right.
And so that was just always what I identified with. So ever since I can remember, it's absolutely the case with me.
Right. And so you began to make this transition in, correct me if I'm wrong, was it in your late teens that you...
Yeah, it was actually my mid-teens, like 16.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Because this is prior to, going out and being
Yeah,
in
this is like
clubs
11th grade.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
were going to high school
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
as...
A very androgynous person.
As a very androgynous person.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
obviously identifying with all the female,
Right.
like just female, period.
Right, and so
Yeah.
that's something that you knew from a young age, and
Yeah.
you decided by
Yeah.
high school that...
Yeah. When I actually saw other people, and I saw that it was kind of possible well, when I put two and two together, I saw other people that I was like, wow, so that's what it is. Because, like I said, I never was able to put my finger on,
Right.
what it was. I just knew I was different. But when I
Right.
actually saw, older people and I was around it, it was kind of like something that I really identified with, and then I just kind of, went with it. I never had seen, or even, well, when I was younger, I never identified with a transgendered person. I never
Right.
knew what that was. I didn't even know that was even possible.
Right.
I just knew that I had a lot of girl characteristics.
Right,
You know what I mean? So I discovered I was attracted to guys. Yeah, that
Right.
was one of the first things that I discovered. However, when I was introduced to
Yeah.
people that I were actually kind of living their lives as women, and it was part of just who they were.
Right.
I was like, okay, well, that's me. I mean, I mean, just to clarify, I honestly, I don't think that I'm not convinced that I'm a woman. I understand my reality. However,
Right.
I'm okay with who I am, and that's just it.
Right, exactly. So...
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not a man. I know that for sure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I mean, I mean, my reality is not. I wasn't born female, so I mean,
Right.
I know that that's not the case. But I know that I'm not a man. But I mean, I'm a girl.
Do you ever get, and to this end, when people who don't know a lot about it, and maybe they don't mean to be cruel, I would hope not, do you ever, what pisses you off when someone comes up to you who, maybe they come and watch you perform or something, and after the show they want to ask questions or say, what ticks you off? What gets under your skin in that whole regard of when people ask personal questions or questions about who you are? Do you ever feel like they cross the line, or are people mostly respectful?
Well, I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be comfortable if someone asked you after you finish performing, because I perform, obviously.
Yes.
But if you're a man or a woman,
Right.
that's just something that it's kind of like a given.
Right.
You know what I mean? That I'm on stage at a gay bar performing in a drag show.
Right.
I mean, that kind of not bothers me, but it just kind of really, are you really asking me this question right now?
Right.
So that's something that would bother me. But normally I don't really get bad feedback from people. Everybody always is kind of really. I've always gotten good feedback from the show.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I remember we were talking many years ago. You said you went to the DMV. And do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Tell that story a little
absolutely.
bit, because I was mad for you.
Yeah. I was at the DMV reinstating my license, renewing my license, and my ID still says male on it because technically I still have the equipment. So I was renewing my license, and then the person obviously saw a woman in front of them, and then she looked at my information, and of course it still says M where the sex is. Right. My name is changed, but my sex obviously is not changed until you go through the whole surgery and everything. Right. And so she was really nice to me at the beginning or whatever, and she was very pleasant. And then after she found out, that it was there was still an M there, she kind of put two and two together, and she called me by my original name because she knew that because I had my name change papers with me. Right. And she also was like, "Sir, here's your license. Like, she would call me sir,
Right.
which was
Trying to.
very rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I remembered exactly how you told me the first time, but it seems to me that you weren't as upset about it as I thought it was really offensive, but you seemed kind of like, well, I just left. And
Well, I just thought, like, I just kind of, like, said, well, if I worked where she did, I probably would be just as bitter, so.
Right. Exactly.
I kind of gave her a little pass there. But I was upset, obviously, because, I mean, I was in a public place, and, you know, she was calling me sir, and I had to respond. She was calling me by my, you know, birth name, which was a very masculine name.
Right. And I don't remember you having, I mean, maybe we just haven't talked about it, but I don't remember you sharing a whole lot of experiences like that. It seems from, and correct me if I'm wrong, that for the most part you've had, this experience has been just really very much you. And
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess you can say I'm one of the fortunate ones that it's like I kind of really blend in
Right.
well, so it's not something that, like, I don't get called out, or I don't get, like, you know, pointed at or laughed at, or even kind of like, pointed out as, like,
Right.
the only people who kind of sometimes have a little bit of a inkling about something being different are, like, children. Children always kind of like
Really,
are
I've
like,
heard this before, but
what's going on there? Something's different.
right.
Yeah.
Do they ever actually say what it is?
No.
Yes. So what does that mean to you? Passing, you know, you hear about. You know, if you're going to go through this, I assume that it's easier for oneself if they pass as female, because you know, not all trans women do. Nevertheless, some of them are not in any way deterred.
Right.
So, I mean, what is your, do you?
I obviously, I think that that's really brave of someone if that's really who they are, and that they want to see their life, they see their life being a certain way, and that's, like, up to them, and that's really brave.
Right.
If they're going to be one of those people who, like, you know, for instance, they're at the grocery store and they are, like, obviously kind of, like, transgender.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, sure.
So I think that's brave of them, and I think that that's something that is not what I have to go through, because, I mean, I get by pretty easy.
Right.